What's up, guys? Welcome back to the second video in this MERN stack tutorial. So in the previous video, we set up our npm init, and we installed our packages, and we created an account with mlab to host our Mongo database. In this video, we're going to finish setting up the backend, and we're going to test it out using Postman. By the end of this video, we should have a fully functional backend. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start coding. We'll start with creating the server.js file. If you remember, we had set the entry point at server.js when we did the npm init. So we're going to bring in all the packages that we need right now, express, mongoose, path. So we'll do that by require, actually, mongoose plus path. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll start an instance of the Express app by setting it as a constant. There we go. We'll require the config package. Okay. And we'll set the DB to equal config.get, and we'll set it to this right here. Mongo u ri. Okay, and we'll also set the port. And now we're going to take into consideration that we're going to be deploying this to production on Heroku. So what we want to do is we want to give the app the option to take the port from process.env in Heroku, which will be assigned with the .port. But for development purposes, we're going to also set this to 5,000, and you'll see that that's what we're going to be connecting to. We'll set the body parsing middleware. Okay, and this is app.use, and then we'll do express.json. Okay. Now we'll do the the database configuration, which is going to be mongoose dot. Actually, it's going to be mongoose, and we'll do it like this. Dot connect, and then we're going to use the this config right there, and we're also going to pass in an object use URL new URL parser, and we'll set that to true. Then we'll do a dot then, and all we're doing here is doing a console.log, and we'll do mlab, and then we'll do a dot cache for, in case we get an error, we'll just console log that error. Okay, so now we'll do a conditional statement where if it is in a production environment, it'll build and use static pages. So I think, so let's do this first. Serve static pages if in production. So we'll do if, and that's going to be process.end, and I think it's dot node environment. If that equals production, then we want to set the static folder. Okay, and to that we use app.use. We'll do external/static, and then we'll do a client build. Okay. App.get, and this is also quite boilerplate. This is pretty much what we're going to be doing for most of our apps. Response, okay, and we'll take that and we'll do res.send file, path.resolved. We'll do dunder directory name, and then we're going to put client, build, and index.html. And I think that's it for this. Lastly, we're going to pretty much listen for port so we can start doing the forwarding. So we'll do app.listen. I'm just going to take port, which we created up here. And then it's going to take a callback function. And what we'll do for this is just we'll console log that we're able to start server on port, and we'll do port. Here we go. I think we are done for this. So this should actually start the server. Let's go ahead and try this. If we go here, we're going to use npm run server. We'll use the nodemon version. Okay. All right. So let's do ls. Okay. So we'll do npm run server. See what happens. We should be able to connect to xres. No, that's not right. It should be express. Okay. Oh, here we go. Connects to mlab and connected to the correct port. Excellent. So we are good here. And so you see when I save it, automatically restarts the server first. That's because we're using nodemon, and that's really the purpose of nodemon. It's such a small small thing to do. However, it'll probably save so much time in the long run. Okay, we can close this right now or stop the server for right now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create the model for our tasks, and this is going to be the schema. So now what a schema, we'll call it task.js. So now what a schema is a basically the structure to your database. So a schema is going to be the structure to the data for our database. So we're going to do this with const mongoose. Okay, we're going to require mongoose, and this is what's going to help us create the schema. We're also going to do const. Got to bring schema in, and that's mongoose.schema. Okay, so now we're going to create the tasks schema. Okay, so we're going to do this with, this is going to be an object basically. We're going to call this task schema. Okay, equals new schema. Okay, and this is going to be an object basically. We'll give it a name, which will be a type of string, and we'll make it required true. Okay, we'll also do date. And all we're going to do for this is just when it enters the database, it'll automatically attach the current date and time with it, so we know when it was created. So we'll just do type date, and we'll do default, so it'll automatically default to date dot now. Okay, and that's really it with this. This is simple. This is going to be task. Yep, equals mongoose model, and this is going to be task task schema. And I think we're done with this. So now we'll create the route. We'll do new folder. We'll do routes. Okay, and then we'll do API, and then we'll create a new file called tasks.js. And this is basically going to be, let's make this lowercase. This is basically going to be the GET request that will give us all the tasks available in our database. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the express router, and the model, and then we'll do the GET request, and I believe that's it. We have to remember to export it as router. Okay. So we'll bring in express. Okay, and then we'll bring in router, and that's from express router. Okay, and then we'll bring in let's do task model. Okay, it's going to be const task equals require, and then we'll do task. Okay, and then this is going to be a GET request. So we're going to do router.get. Okay, this takes in the first parameter is the path. The second parameter is the callback function. Okay, so we have the request and the response, and that will return the basically task.find. Okay, and we're going to do then task, and then we're going to convert that to JSON. We'll do res.json task. So that should return us these tasks. We'll hit the path. We run our mongoose. And it'll return us all the tasks available. Let's do this. Okay. All right, so actually now we should be able to, let's try it. We'll do npm run server. Let's see if I'm missing anything. So now, now what we're gonna have to do is test it with an app called Postman. So Postman is a API development environment. This is an app that allows us to send GET requests and other HTTP requests to API routes like what we just built for testing purposes. Okay, so it's free to download. I don't think you have to make an account. I think you can just download this. They do have paid versions, but we're just using the free version. Okay, so what we're going to do is HTTP localhost and 5000 was our our port. Remember, if we set that manually, API, and then we're going to do tasks. I think with an S. We'll hit this and error. Okay, so let's figure out. Is it with an S? You know what? We never set any. We never set any routes in here. So let's actually set the route. So we'll do app.use, and so we'll take the path with it, which is /API/tasks, and then we'll set that to require, and then we'll send it to we want to do routes/API/tasks. There we go. All right, so now for any changes to the server stuff, we have to unfortunately restart for that. Okay, what's happening here? I didn't export this. Export stop module. Export stop module. Module exports. And we're going to do router. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again with the GET request to API/tasks. And there we go. An empty array, which is because we don't have anything in there. Let's populate it with some dummy information, and we can return something back. So let's do this. mlab, and then we'll go to databases, and then we'll go to to-do list database. Okay. So there's no collections. Actually, instead of this, we'll create a post request, and we'll be able to make a collection using the HTTP post request and Postman. So one thing I also like to add is descriptions on these requests. So this is a GET route to API/tasks, and what this does is we'll get all tasks from database. And I also like to add the access type. And right now this is public, meaning we're not using any type of auth or authorization to use it. It's a public API, and anyone can use it. So so now what we'll do is we'll make a post route, and we'll do also API tasks, and then this will post a new task to the database. Okay, and right now access will still be public, but this is really something that we want to make private. Okay, we'll do router.post. This will take the same path. Okay, we're not using any IDs or anything because it's just a new post. So we'll do request response. Okay, and then so let's create the object that we're going to be saving. So we'll do const new task equals new task, which is the model here. And if we remember, where we have just name. Okay, so we'll do name, and that's going to be set to ref.body.name. And I believe this is it here for the object. Okay, then we'll do new task.save. Okay, Then we'll do a dot then, and we'll take that task, and we'll do res.json task. Okay. So now we should be able to post a new task, and it'll return us that same task. And then if we do a GET request, we should be able to see all the tasks that we have populated the database with. And we'll also check out the database itself. So let's do a post request. We'll do HTTP localhost 5000. We'll do API/tasks. And then we'll go to body. We'll do raw, and then we'll change this to JSON. Okay, and then we'll do a JSON object. We'll call it name, and then we'll do post a YouTube video. Okay, so now we'll hit send. It should send the request, the post request, to the database, and the database will either add it and respond with a probably a status of 200, or deny it and respond with a negative status here. So we'll hit send, and it looks like we got an error, 404 not found. Cannot post. Did we save this? Okay. So we do have the post here. So let's look here. Task not found because it's tasks. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. And remember, it auto-populates this this date for us too, because that's how we set it up. And the cool thing about Mongo is it automatically adds a unique ID. So you don't have to worry about IDs as well. Let's check out our database and see if anything is there. So let's refresh this. We should have a new collection called tasks with one document, and we should have our post our YouTube video. Excellent. Okay, so let's create a delete route, and we will have our full functionality. So let's do the same thing. We'll do our description of the route. Delete route. This is actually going to be API tasks. However, we're also going to have an ID for this one, because we need to delete a specific post, a specific task. So we'll delete a task from the database, and this access right now is public. This is something that we should change to. We should have a private as well. I can see getting all tasks okay with being public. However, you don't want the general public to be able to add and delete stuff from your database. You want access for that. So what we'll do is router.delete. So this is going to get the same thing. However, it's also going to have an ID involved with this here. So the ID is going to be the unique identifier for the task that we want to delete. It's also going to get res. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do task.find by ID. Then we're going to do rec.params.id. That's this right here. Rec.params.id is going to be this right here. Okay, so that's just what we're going to pass in through the parameters. Then we're going to do .then. We're going to take that task, and we're going to task.remove. Task.remove, and then we'll do .then. Then we're going to take that and we'll do res.json, and we'll give it a key of success true. This actually supposed to be inside of here. Okay. So and so we'll also give it a catch right here, and it'll just take our error and do res.status 404. We'll do .json, and then we'll do success. Nope, false. Okay, and now we should be done with our delete route. We can test it here. We'll go ahead and post a couple more new tasks so we can have a few different tasks, and then we can test it out by deleting it according to the ID that we're going to use. Okay, so let's open up Postman. Let's do create a new tutorial. Okay. Send. Okay. Got a good response for that. And then let's do delete a task. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Let's check out our get request. We should get all three. Here we go. All three objects here. So let's take one of these here. Let's delete this task. We'll copy this ID. We'll create a new tab here, and we'll make it a delete request. And we'll do HTTP localhost 5000 API /tasks/ and we'll put the ID here. So we should get back either a success or a success true or success false actually. So we'll send this true. So we'll go back to here. We'll get our get request again. There we go. All right, so we just created a full CRUD operation with our Mongo database. We created our API routes. We created our server file that'll point the user in the right direction. And we created our model for the schema for our database. We pretty much built an entire backend here using the Express and Mongo, pretty much the MERN stack. What we're going to do next is build out the front end, and that'll be in the next video. It'll probably be the next couple videos. Thank you for watching. Make sure you watch the next video and keep programming.